So for the busy mom with all the kids in the house, peace might feel like an unattainable dream. Or for the empty nester sitting in a quiet home, the silence might feel uncomfortable. What you thought would be peaceful isn't. And that's because peace and quiet are not necessarily bound together. We have to give credit to photographer and writer Mark Mabry, who was the one to make this beautiful realization. Peace doesn't always mean quiet, and quiet doesn't always mean peace. Author and speaker Connie Sokol joins me to tell us what peace in motherhood actually looks like. It's great to see you.
So good to see
I don't know
you.
why I already have the little chills, except for it's that realization that we're after this thing, and it's something that we have to be a little more thoughtful about. We have to curate a little more purposefully than we might realize.
Absolutely. And I think recognizing to find that and be intentional about finding that clarity and that confidence in the chaos and not waiting.
And do you resonate with the idea that peace and quiet
absolutely.
don't go together?
Peace does not mean stillness. It is this finding in that motherhood purpose that is woven through everything we do every day.
What does peace actually look like in motherhood? You've got 3 specific targeted thoughts that you'll take us toward. And the first one is that peace is found when the house hums. And I, to this, just say amen.
It was a little phrase that I experienced years ago because I kept feeling like, when am I going to find this peace in this house mayhem? And I remember this phrase came to me, purpose in the piles. And it was from an experience where I had 7 kids at home, and you can imagine. And
There were piles.
There were piles everywhere. And I remember walking in the door and just being like, oh, you know how you feel? Like, oh, I'm going to have to go nag someone, or I'm going to have to pick it up myself. And so all these piles. And then this feeling thought came. This is the hum of your home. And I saw this lens kind of through a different lens and just started seeing the piles and the soccer cleats and the shirt and the water bottle. Someone's learning to play soccer. And there was the watercolor and the paper towels and the watercolor paints and everything on the table. And someone's learning to paint. And the piano books falling off the thing in the piles in the bag. And someone's learning to play the piano. And it really hit me. This is exactly how it's supposed to go.
Yes.
These little people are becoming and doing and achieving, and this is the process of it. So embrace that. Doesn't mean we can't pick it up, but embrace that and appreciate it. And there was a lady, I put this out to a variety of women, these questions about peace and motherhood, and she said the exact same thing that she just recently experienced. And she said, this one mother said, sometimes I can get so hard on my kids for nitpicky things when instead I can step back and see all the good they already do. So true, because we can emphasize this one lens or we can look through another.
I think that's a beautiful challenge. You said the word acceptance several times, like accepting. That brings peace, doesn't it, when we find acceptance in what is?
Absolutely. And instead of this wishing or saying, I wish that, or why can't it be like, instead we can realize that that acceptance comes in dealing with the challenges and in those moments. And a lot of times understanding that what we've done and what we do right now every day is our best, period. And we can accept that. And the fact that we can't control people or situations, but we can control how we respond. And as mothers, we can do a lot to help with others' responses as well. One woman that shared this one tip was so good. She said she creates a safe space for her kids and herself to be able to pause and process these challenges. So the way that she does it, one way she does it is to use a porch swing. And it was so fantastic. She said, I use my porch swing for a moment of peace outside the craziness of the house, for my kids to have a cool down spot when they're upset, and pillows and blankets for long visits if needed. It's like magic. You could feel that. Everybody in the family now knows that sacred space is for that purpose. And when someone goes there, that's what they're needing and that's what they're going to experience.
A couple years ago, and I've got littles, but a couple of years ago, I strategically scattered blankets all over the house like confetti. They don't all match, right? They're not ever folded or tucked in just so, but there's multiple blankets on the couch and on beds and in corners for that touch and that closeness and that cuddle. And for me, that's peace. And so as I look at blankets scattered around the house, it tends to make me a little crazy, but the purpose there is peace in the end. But accepting that, accepting what peace looks like in your home is a challenge sometimes.
Exactly. And I love that you purposely gave permission to everybody to experience it wherever they're at, right? And not waiting for this moment to appear.
Yeah, to seek it out yourself. Peace is contentment, Connie, and this is your final point, and it's a beautiful one. We oftentimes, chase after so many emotions or feelings or desires or goals, and ultimately contentment is, I think, at the root of so many of our desires.
I do, and I think women can have this daily discontent if they're not aware of it. Realizing that it's not about dotting all the I's and crossing off the T's before we go to bed to say that we are content with our lives. And Instead, being able to feel the good of the now, as imperfect as it is, but being able to say, great job, and I love this process, I love this journey. I had an experience with a woman who so embodied this. I host a podcast called To Create, and I get to interview these high-profile creators. It's such a privilege. And I interviewed Jenny Doan. If you know anything about quilting, she is called the Oprah of quilting, and she started the Missouri Star Quilt Company. And we were talking about back in the day, and she said, you know, she was just piecing quilts just to help their family through a rough spot. And what struck me is how happy and content they were, even in that moment. This is back when they were eating rice and canned tomatoes and powdered milk, okay? But they were happy, they were creating experiences, they were laughing and bantering and doing projects together. And then she was still piecing, kind of stumbling into this quilting company. And then years later, okay, she stumbled into this $100 million a year company. And I went, what's different, Jenny, from then and now? And she said, I can go into a grocery store and buy whatever I want. That was it. Really, her contentment was still gratitude for family and that they could still do this every day as a journey together. That was it. The contentment was now.
Oh, Connie, thank you so much. A good reminder, especially as we head into a season that is notoriously a little crazy.
Yes.
We'll seek the peace. We'll find the contentment in doing so. Thank you for those reminders.
You bet.
You have a retreat coming up. Can I ask you about that quickly?
Yes, for anyone who's got a message, want to share it as a speaker or writer in media, we have a September retreat. You can do a free call, and I can tell you more about it. You get $500 off if you mention Studio 5.
Nice.
ConnieSokol.com. Love to help you move forward.
That call sounds like a good place to start.
So good.
If you
so
have
inspiring.
questions, ConnieSokol.com will link you from our website.